Hey everyone. So, I don't normally do this, but today I'm going to talk about comic books and writing because I feel like this is a topic that needs discussing. Now, before I continue, I am going to add a warning in here for those hypersensitive people out there on the internet. This video will contain opinions. And if you can't handle opinions and they're going to trigger some sort of opinion flashback, please turn off the video, turn off your computer, grab your favorite blanket from when you were and still are a child, and have a nap because you need one. Maybe have some milk as well. Yeah? Cool. Awesome. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I actually really enjoy writing as a hobby of mine. I have a lot of various different stories and comic books and short novels, etc., all written down, and I'm always coming up with new ideas for them. And I follow a very simple philosophy with all of my characters when I write them, which is quite simple. It goes something like this. I write people, and I write personalities. I don't write agenda. So I will actually write an entire novel before I even know whether someone's male or female. And I'll add that in at the end because it's not that important. It doesn't matter if it's a she or a he or an anthropomorphic transgendered elephant from another planet. What matters is that you've written a character well. And if you need to use their gender as a focal point of writing, you're probably doing it wrong, but who knows? Everyone's got their own way of doing it. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to talk about why it is actually difficult to write a good female character, and a lot of troubles that have been cropping up more recently in the world of comic books. And I'm going to use Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, who is one of my favorite comic book characters, as the basis for this. Barbara has been at the center of a lot of attention recently over the last 12 months for various different reasons, and there's a lot of supposed things. Most recently, the image that I have on the screen right now, which is supposedly very controversial. So in this cover, you can see the Joker drawing his signature smile on a very terrified Barbara Gordon. And this particular image has cropped up a lot of backlash on Twitter using the hashtag #ChangeTheCover, in which a lot of hypersensitive internet toddlers actually believe that you can't show Batgirl in this manner on a cover because it's insulting to females and minorities and all sorts of terms that they've thrown out there. The term sexist has been thrown around as well. It's a bunch of rubbish. That's what it is. Now, I'm happy to say that more recently there has been a lot of backlash about the whole thing, and the hashtag is actually quite hilarious now. I've personally have taken a lot of liking to this particular image here. Now, for those out there, let me give you a little bit of a backstory on Barbara Gordon and what this cover actually is. So Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, is the daughter of Police Commissioner Jim Gordon. She takes on the mantle of Batgirl originally to spite her father, who forbade her joining the police force. She has a photographic memory, top-notch martial arts skills, and is a skilled gymnast as well. She's also really good behind a computer and a bunch of other stuff. Now, obviously, having a police commissioner as a father in Gotham City, of all places, has a lot of negatives in it. So, in 1988, when Alan Moore wrote The Killing Joke, we saw exactly how dangerous things can be for people related to the Commissioner Gordon. The scene, of course, in which I'm talking about is probably one of the biggest turning points in Barbara Gordon's life. In this particular graphic novel, the Joker shoots and paralyzes Barbara in an attempt to drive her father, Commissioner Gordon, insane, thereby proving to Batman that anyone could be morally compromised. Please note the Joker's outfit in the first panel of this scene. Now, this was actually not without controversy. Even in the late 80s, there were a lot of feminists critiquing the comic, criticizing the treatment in which Barbara Gordon was used. After this incident, Barbara is left paralyzed and in a wheelchair, but she still fights on. This didn't kill her spirits at all. She came through as the Oracle, While bound to a wheelchair, she worked in Batman's lair, basically acting as his head. Using her computer skills, she mans Batman's computer, helps him fight crime in every way possible. It's actually quite astonishing. Now, fast forward many years later, September 2011, the Flashpoint paradox has ended, and the DC Comics timeline has been shifted. Barbara, who's still shot and paralyzed, has just come out of rehab, and she can use her legs again. She's back in action, swinging from rooftops, fighting crime. She's got a brand new supersuit, as you can see in this image, that's very modern and fits in with the design of the Bat family suits as well. It's designed to protect her while retaining all of her flexibility. And it's a cool looking suit. But obviously, every hero has a weakness. And for Barbara, it's the Joker. This is a woman who was shot in cold blood in the privacy of her own home, and the last thing she saw was the face of the Joker's wicked and terrifying smile for no reason, and this left her bound in a wheelchair for years. No one could pull through that without some kind of trauma. So, let's go back to the cover for a second. Note the outfit the Joker is wearing in this controversial cover. Barbara is basically being forced to relive her trauma, and that must be terrifying to her. This is not a cover designed to make her look weak. It's not a cover designed to oppress females. This is a cover to highlight the effect that the Joker has had on her life, and with good reason as well. Given everything that's happened to her, if I was in her shoes, I'd be terrified too. This is the Joker. It's no small time villain. He's a psychopath. So unfortunately, the hypersensitive internet toddler brigade can't have this. They don't care about the backstory or what this cover is actually portraying. What they see is a female on the cover of a comic book crying in the arms of a man who has a grin on his face, and they can't handle that. Their brains have crossed wires, and they've launched an all-out attack, and it's absolutely ridiculous. This isn't even the worst cover we've seen with Barbara Gordon on it. Have a look at some of the covers here. Seriously, look at these. So we've got Barbara Gordon being manipulated by a puppet with a knife to her throat. We've got Barbara Gordon being thrown out of a building. Here we have Barbara Gordon being manipulated by a puppet again with a gun pointed at her. We've got Barbara Gordon literally being stabbed and bleeding out over a grave. We've got Barbara Gordon once again nearly being stabbed by her raving lunatic brother. And then finally, in Batgirl Volume 3, Death in the Family, we have the Joker standing over Barbara's body with a knife in his hand, implying that he has stabbed her, and he's holding Valentine's Day chocolates with the words, "For you, darling," with a love heart written on them. And now, yes, I know I'm taking some of these covers out of context, but isn't that exactly what the Hypersensitive Brigade is doing with the cover mentioned at the beginning? We've seen Barbara in much worse situations than having the Joker put his hand over her shoulder. But, oh my god, we can't show her cry. We can't show a human girl in presumably her 20s crying, because people don't cry, especially not females. No way, we can't have that image on the internet and on comic books for people to see. We can't have a woman show weakness, can we? Now, this isn't the first bit of controversy surrounding Barbara Gordon, and it certainly won't be the last. In 2014, she had a costume change as well. She went from the tough protected armor suit that fits in with the rest of the Bat family, designed to give her the maximum amount of flexibility while also protecting her from the dangers she faces on a day-to-day basis, to this. A leather jacket. A snap-on leather jacket with leather gloves and leather pants. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but have you guys ever worn a full leather outfit, especially one fitted like that? I ride motorbikes all the time, and let me tell you if you haven't, leather is not very flexible, it's not very stretchy, it's not very comfortable. Now, Cameron Stewart, the artist for this, was actually quoted on IGN saying, Barbara is forced to make a new costume for herself when her old one becomes unavailable. The new one is something she's able to make herself shopping at the various boutique and vintage stores in Burnside. It also reflects her youth and style. Unlike Batman or Batwoman, she no longer needs to stay in the shadows and, in fact, learns to embrace the spotlight. Really, I'm supposed to believe that she couldn't have contacted Batman to get another one. It's not like we've seen a dozen of her old suits being destroyed in the past. She's been shot, stabbed, set on fire. She's been in massive brawls, taken beatings. We've seen her suit destroyed before. But no, this time apparently she had to make it herself. And she has decided that she wants to be youthful, hip, and trendy. Shopping at boutique stores. This is a complete bastardization on her character. I mean, we're talking about a warrior who has fought with some of the most terrible villains around. She's been shot and left in a wheelchair. She even murdered her own brother. But no, it takes a house fire for her to turn into a hip and trendy teenager, going back to live a dorm college lifestyle. I mean, look at this. It's a selfie in a mirror in a bathroom surrounded by other girls who are all obsessed with their image, applying makeup, fixing their hair, etc. So, this outcry is telling us that we can't show Barbara Gordon showing real human emotion and crying over a trauma in her past, but we can show her in a bathroom, surrounded by other teenage girls, applying makeup and being self-obsessed with beauty standards. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. Can't show her cry, but can teach a prospective young female audience that, it's all about how you look, and you got to be fashionable and trendy, not practical in your life. It's ridiculous. But look, let's get back to the original costume here. In the New 52 Batgirl issue number 2, Batgirl goes toe-to-toe with the Mirror, who she describes as being strong as a prize bull. She takes one punch to the stomach and is quoted in her head, "I cannot let him hit me again. Even with the Kevlar weave in the suit, I almost passed out on the spot." So if she couldn't take one hit from the Mirror without nearly passing out, and we've seen her nearly bleed to death after being stabbed, why would this incredibly smart, combat-trained woman, who clearly knows her own limits, opt out of using a suit which she herself has credited to saving her own life and replace it with a cheap leather combo which she found at a boutique store? Do people truly expect anyone to believe this? There has been a massive push from a certain audience of hypersensitive boys and girls on the internet who apparently aren't mature enough to know their own personal limits and scream at the top of their lungs as loud as they can the second they see something they don't like. And it's gone too far and beyond the point of reason. It's got to this point where artists are actually being forced to redesign their characters and choose fashion over practicality, while also being incredibly careful not to accidentally trigger one of these overgrown babies who can't fathom the fact that some women actually do have large breasts and some women don't, or that some females perhaps like to show their bodies off a little bit. Perhaps it makes them feel a little more confident about themselves when they go out. I don't know. I do know that I feel more confident when wearing an outfit that I feel like I look good in, and I don't feel very confident in an outfit that I don't perhaps like. And while I agree that we should be a little more conservative with both male and female characters, I mean, the Hawkgirl comics from the 90s are a great example of, nipples don't poke through leather. I'm sorry, they don't. It doesn't work that way. But we should also be cautious not to take away what makes a character who they are. I mean, Wonder Woman, for example, comes from an ancient Greek-inspired world where even the men wore leather skirts into battle, but for some reason we can't put her in a skirt anymore. She's got to wear pants all the time. She also has to cover up her chest. I mean, you can draw a confident female character without making her sexy, and it has nothing to do with what she's wearing at all. Seriously. And I mean, the minute people realize this and actually take a deep breath and realize that, hey, I perhaps don't like the way this looks, so I'm not going to read it, the sooner we can get on with our lives and actually enjoy some good goddamn stories. I mean, it's as simple as if you don't like it, don't read it. And if you're not mature enough to know your own limits. Don't take the fun away for everyone else. There are plenty of other comics out there for you to read, and hell, you could even try and write your own. Who knows? You know, that could change your life. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this. It's something I'm very passionate about. I love reading a good story and seeing how ridiculous things are becoming in the comic book world is just depressing. You know, everyone needs to take a step back, chill out, look at the backstory before these things, and realize that, you know, we can't have a bubble wrapped world of comics where everything is ultra safe for everyone. I mean, and it's not just females or males in particular. There's things in comic books that even I might find a little bit offensive. But you know what I do? I go, huh, that's a bit risky, and I continue to read the next page. And if it continues to pan off into a alleyway that perhaps is a bit too dark and spooky for me, then hey, you know what I do? I close the book. I don't read it. I find something else that I do perhaps like instead. And that's exactly what I've done with Batgirl, my favorite comic book character out of all comic books. And yet I've stopped reading it because I just can't fathom the new costume. And other people like the costume. Actually, I personally like the costume. I don't think it looks bad. It just doesn't make sense for this character. And if you are going to do one of these drastic redesigns, stop and think, well, hang on, maybe I should design my own character instead that's not this character that people already treasure and love and has a big backstory. Maybe that should be the case. But anyway, I'm Manny. I like comic books. You like comic books, maybe. Enjoy them. And peace out. Leave some comments, share this video around, drop some likes or dislikes if you don't like it. I don't care. And yeah, let's just get back to being mature adults again, hey?